Pages, guys, and we're here. We're continuing the Talkthrough, the Malazan Talkthrough, and as you can see up on the screen, that way, we have reached the goal of 200 subscribers, and therefore unlocked me doing this video of Siege of Pale, the second chapter of Gardens of the Moon. I'm really glad you guys liked the last video. A lot of people said it was genuine and chill, and I'm going to continue with that vibe, but I did prepare a little bit more because I did feel a little bit underprepared for the last one. So I do want to do that just to say thank you to each and every one of you. Cheers. And I prepared not a special drink. This is just water in a wine glass with some ice and some rose salt. As you can see, it's like rose petals and salts that I got from a place in nature that sells it. So cheers to you guys. Thanks for everything this far. It's been an amazing journey, and I've been just doing some uploads every now and then, daily, for the last, 45 or 50 days. And I'm really honored that you guys want to listen to this crazy person. So with that said, cheers, and cheers to you, everyone who's listening. This tastes really good. If you can find rose salt somewhere, I recommend it. It tastes like some kind of drink, seriously. So without further ado, I had a really long intro with the last video, and please check it out if you missed it. And also, if you are new to my channel, welcome to the realm of pages. And as I usually say, I hope you're doing great, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. This is a video series where I talk through Malazan Book of the Fallen, basically. And I started with the first chapter of Gardens of the Moon, and let's show you the first a shout out to the creator, the person who made these documents, just to do a little shout out and be nice and be honoring this person. And you can find it in this PDF. You can Google this PDF. It's super easy to Google on Reddit. You just Google like Malazan Companion Guide PDF and you get this. Just gonna move myself. There is a Reddit handle, there's a Twitter handle, and I think there also is, sorry, I'm moving myself now. I think there's a coffee page there too, and I'm gonna show you guys a link. Let's see. There's a coffee link, right? The hell, man. Yeah, you can see that, coffee.com/sunanimander. So that's it. Shout out to Sun Animander. Thank you for making this amazing resource. Probably the single best Malazan fan contribution to the entire community that I've ever seen. And we're gonna start with chapter 2, The Siege of Pale. Here it is, and thank you everyone who contributed to this. All of the likes, all the comments, all the activity on my channel has reached this level where I'm ready to cover the Siege of Pale. And I actually spent this morning rereading in Audible the chapter, and I was surprised by how much stuff I found to comment on. So I'm gonna have a little bit more to say on my own this time around, and I made some notes on my phone actually that I'm gonna put up like this so I can see it and read it while I'm talking if necessary. But I'm gonna use this companion guide as my main guide, and then if we want to add something, we do that. So this chapter opens up with a in media res. Basically, you start off by seeing a short scene in the middle of the kind of a war scene, and then you go back to the beginning. So this is 2 years after the massacre, the Itkokan massacre in chapter 1, and 9 years after the prologue. And this scene is immediately after the decisive moment at the Siege of Pale, where Tattersail is talking to Hairlock, who is missing the bottom half of his body, basically. The bridge burners come. She's kind of confused about all this because they're total legends, and they've been fighting this fight for 3 years. So, and the tunnels collapsed, so the bridge burners were reduced by a lot. Almost none are still surviving. And Taishrin, the High Mage, has ordered the bridge burners to stop searching for survivors, so that sounds kind of sketchy. And that's basically the premise of it. Before we get into that, though, I forgot to tell you something. I'm not just going to read the guide for you guys. There is a poem at the start of chapter 2, which is not in this companion guide, which I really like. So I'm going to start by reading it to you before we get into this chapter. And the poem is written by Felicin. Those of you who have continued the series might know who that is. The work quoted is named Call to Shadow, and the poem reads the following. With the coming of the Morant, the tide turned, and like ships in a harbor, the free cities were swept under imperial seas. The war entered its 12th year, the year of the shattered moon, and its sudden spawn of deathly rain and black-winged promise. 2 cities remained to contest the Malazan onslaught. One stalwart, proud banners beneath Dark's powerful wing. The other divided without an army, bereft of allies. The strong city fell first. Call to Shadow by Felison, born 1146. Burn sleep. So it's just an interesting little tidbit before we continue with this. So what did I think about this scene to begin with? Let's see. I think we jump back again after that. Yeah. So this is like a couple of hours before we actually start off. And did I have anything to say about it? Yeah. Actually, here I thought about it. Hairlock mentions a deal. So he mentioned while he's kind of dying, he mentions a deal because he only got like his upper half remaining. He mentions a deal and says something like, "I always arrange a back door." So I totally forgot about that because I thought, did they have a plan? Did he consent? But yes, it's very clear now that they did because I forgot about it. And when Quick Ben and Kalam come, they mention like, "Oh, we're just doing some last minute negotiations," which made me laugh. And I was also appalled by how Tattersay really noticed Sorry and how Sorry seemed like beautiful but dead cold on the inside, and it's kind of scary. And at this point, she blames Taishrin. The siege has ended after 3 years, which is insane. So that was my take on it. And then we have the jump back in time. And what I like about this companion guide is I didn't have to look up all these things myself to find artwork. We have a fantastic map, and we have all the credits here. Down below. So just check that for the credits so we don't have any, I don't want any artists to feel like they didn't get credit, which is great. This is supposed to be Tattersay, more Tattersay. I like this even more. And here is from Subterranean Press. I think this is it. It's a pretty good depiction of the scene. And Quick Ben has this like leather bag kind of thing with seams. And that's closed shut, which is very interesting, and we'll get to that later. Here's a Quick Ben, unclear what scene it's from. And this is what I like about this companion guide too. Like you also get like these every now and then just good information that's good and useful to have. So let's see what we can. Yeah, here is that. So it explains different ranks and different stuff. So you can check this out in the guide because I'm actually doing these videos not only because it's fun, but I also want to share the chapters with you in a good way. And I also want to share this companion guides with you guys. So if you want to use it, you know what it's like. And here's some more info that you can look through on your own if you want to. And here's some info on the bridge burners. Just some, like a good introduction. I think this is pretty good. So let's get back to things. So now we go back in time a couple of hours. And what I love about this chapter, this is one of the best chapters, if not the best chapter I've read this far, and I'm like 7 books in, is that it's kind of it's a fantastic scene. It's like a movie in and of itself, in the structure and everything. And it also teaches you how Erikson wants you to think and read and kind of follow his narration and follow him guiding you through the world of Malazan. This chapter said so much to me without saying it, just by existing and being what it is. So we have a jump back in time, and the jump back in time actually starts with a very like casual kind of relationship that she has with this other fellow mage named Kallet, and she is very adamant and clear about everything is just casual, which kind of foreshadows, what she actually might be feeling or how she actually might be like. There's also a brutal foreshadowing during the scene, like, oh, he's gonna like get totally obliterated soon and die for her, basically, which is kind of shocking. But she wakes up after a night with this mage Kallet, and I believe they're summoned by Hairlock. Let's see if this is even Yeah, they're summoned by Hairlock. Let's see what I have to say about this. So one interesting thing is when Moonspawn is mentioned, it was mentioned that the Talani Mas refused to like infiltrate it, or they're not able to, or they're refusing, which is a really interesting tidbit to remember. I totally forgot about that one. And there's some more info here about the situation, the Moonspawn, but also Caladan Brood and the Crimson Guard, and how they're kind of resisting the Empire in this part of the world. And some map info. Let's see if there's something we missed in the map that you might need. Nope, it's good. It's all good. So here is some like good info for you to have. So the ones resisting the Empire are Animander Rake, that's leading the Tistiandi. This is actually not revealed until pretty soon in the chapter, because it's still a question mark, like who is the Lord of the Moonspawn, but it is Animander Rake. Then we have the Crimson Guard, which are really cool. I'm not going to say anything more because you don't actually get to know a lot about them in this book, so I don't want to spoil anything. And then Caladan Brood. I don't see Caladan Brood like this, to be honest. I see him more as a lighter skinned guy, white skinned guy with dark hair and a big hammer. But, they're different artworks of him, so we can all have different interpretations based on how we see him. He's also supposed to have like no eyebrows and sharp teeth. What do you call it? Filed teeth, which is really interesting, and that's actually a thing that some cultures have done as well, like in our real world. And there is a mentioning of always an even trade, which is basically the collaboration between soldiers and mages. The mages protect the soldiers with their magic, but the soldiers also sacrifice their lives to protect the mages. So there's a thing like that where they say always an even trade or always an even exchange. So that's the thing. So basically from the bedroom, they are summoned by Hairlock during some kind of, some kind of magic or summoning, because they're woken up by it, I believe. And they have a meeting. Dujek joins and Tayshrin joins as well. And I'm just going to let you read these, and I'm going to read my own notes because I made my own notes, and you can let me know what you think about that. So Hairlock summons them. He removes his invisibility, which he has when he comes into the room, and smiles at them with yellow teeth. And Hairlock is kind of an OG because he's been with the Malazan army since the Seven Cities campaign in Arran and stuff like that. I think it was 7 years before this. And then Dujek joins them, and Tyrsail notices that he looks very aged from this conflict. Looks like he aged many more years than the last 3 years. Dujek joins them, Tayshrin joins them, and they vaguely speak about the Moon's Lord, Animander Rake, and Caladan Brood and the Crimson Guard. And they're like, this doesn't feel like a contemporary thing. It feels more like stuff of legends. Where have we heard about it? And then Tattersail actually quotes Anomandaris by Fisher Keltath. And there's a passage about Caladan Brood. Let's see if I can find it here and read it to you, because that was actually a really interesting one. Let's see. Yeah, I like this. Okay, quote. Caladan Brood, the men-eared one, winter-bearing, barrowed, and sorrowless. In a tomb bereaved of words, and in his hands that have crushed anvils, the hammer of his song. He lives asleep, so give silent warning to all. Wake him not. Wake him not. Damn, this hits differently when you've read a couple of the books. Damn. Anyways, so they mentioned this, and someone's like, well, Anomandaris, the poem is not actually about Caladan Brood, it's about his partner in crime, Animander Rake, and they kind of talk about that, and, it kind of feels like Tayshrin is making a plan to attack Moonspawn because it didn't actually cause him a lot of trouble before, it just retreated. But Tattersail is worried about, this being underestimating Moonspawn, basically. And then we jump to the battle scene. So here's just some visualization of Caladan Brood and the Crimson Guard, where they're at, and where Dujek and the Malazan Empire is at. And Is it really? Yeah, they're closer to pale, I would say, right? Yes, they are. And Animander Rake. So they're close to pale. And we're on the battlefield now. So we jump to the battle scene, and there are other mages there. We have Night Chill. We have Bellerdown Skullcrusher, which is a Thelamen Toblakai. Which are like all, not giants, but very large humanoids. And then we have Acheronis, short, round fire wielder with a long staff. And the Siege of Pale begins, basically. So what are my comments on this? I'm going to go through it and see how we get through these slides as well. It is mentioned that Bellerdown, Nightchill, and Acheronis have been with the Empire for a long time, since the Emperor Kellenved, before he died, and they were in the last campaign of Seven Cities, which Hairlock was also, I remember. But something messed them up since then. They've been kind of out of action for 7 years, and something might have reduced their power, which is interesting. Let's see if we get back to that later in the series. So Tattersail, this is her perspective, and she sees all these mages and Tayshran standing at a hill, and there's a portal that opens at Moonspawn. So you see a portal open up, but nothing happens, and then Tayshran shoots magic at the Moonspawn's lower parts. Big rocks fall down and ravens emerge. Hairlock laughs about that, and it's like 30,000 ravens well fed at Moonspawn. And finally a figure comes out from the portal with long silver hair. Now I wonder how you see up to Moonspawn from the battlefield, but somehow it was possible, maybe with magic, I don't know, it's not mentioned, but you can see it. And there's a black wave that comes down from Animander Rake that he casts, and this is really ominous. At this point, you feel like he's a villain, like he's super badass, super evil, which my perspective on that changed very quickly. But he's super badass, but Tayshran deflects this magic, and it actually kills soldiers and rots them, and there's just armor remaining afterwards, which was from the first scene of this chapter, actually, those dead remains of the soldiers. It's noted that this is Kurald Galain, Elder Magic, the Breath of Chaos by Tattersail. She activates her Thyr Warren, and Callot activates his Mokra Warren. Notable, you learn about the Mokra Warren later. So there are more spells going back and forth. Hairlock is cut in half by the wave. Total chaos. Callot uses Mokra to support Tattersail's defense, kind of buffs her basically, and we learn later that Mokra is like a magic of the mind, so he was basically giving her support, I think, like a buff. But he dies protecting her, and Night Chill is killed by a demon that shows up. Bellerdawn has revenge on this demon and kills it, and Acheronis is later killed by ice magic after Night Chill is killed, and Bellerdawn has avenged her. So that's basically it. Put a pin on that if you read the later books, but I'm not going to say anything more. So there's more devastation, total destruction, parts of Moonspawn falling down on the soldiers, people dying, soldiers dying, smoke coming from Moonspawn, and finally it pulls back. Tayshran is still alive, but taken away by Marines. Bellerdawn is wailing and crying and gathering Night Chill's remains, her body parts that were cut up by these demons. And this part ends with Tattersail blaming Tayshran for this decision, taking this risk. It was kind of a mess. It was kind of a mess. So let's see what the companion guide says about this chapter. So beautiful, Mark Simonetti. Love it. And this one is also one of my favorites, The Siege of Pale by Michael Cormack. Wow, this is amazing. And the Broken Binding cover, one of my favorites, absolutely. My second favorite cover of all time for the book, actually. My favorite is the Subterranean Press with Animander Rake on it, because who doesn't love that? So basically, summarizing what I just went through with you, Hairlock gets cut in half. Callot sacrifices himself for her. And there's something we might be missing here, because he's looking at someone at the plane, and there are Kenrila demons tearing apart Night Chill. Yeah, I told you guys about this. And this is a depiction of Kenrila demons. I won't say anything about them, but interesting. And this is a depiction I haven't seen before. So is this supposed to be... This is not how I imagine it, but it's a really cool piece of art, I guess. This looks really good too. This makes me think about another other scene, but yeah, it's nice. I like it. So now we're back to present. So we had an in media res scene in the beginning, and now we're back and past that. So Quick Ben and Kalam were having like last minute negotiations with Hairlock, if you remember it, coming back to it. And it seems like Quick Ben is shifting the soul of Hairlock into a hide cocoon. And what I love about this is that it's mentioned that it has, how was it worded? I wrote it down. Leather seams, no, hide seams on something that Quick Ben is holding. He is perfectly controlling the energy and using chaining words. It seemed like he was using Danul, but not really. It was a twisted kind of warren that she could not recognize, which is pretty cool. And they give Tattersail this cocoon and tell her that, you know, they want to use her for this. Both Hairlock and Quick Ben tell Tattersail that this was Tayshrin, and before Hairlock's soul is transferred also, he says, lost art, something that hasn't been done in 1,000 years. So obviously this kind of transferring his soul to whatever object this is something that isn't common, hasn't been done for 1,000 years. Pretty interesting. It tells us that they made a deal, Hairlock and Quick Ben has skills that are like, you know, beyond what normal mages even can do, which is interesting. And they want Tattersail to carry it and not let Tayshrin see it. So basically they want to hide it from Tayshrin. What's the plan? Why is the soul transferred to this cocoon? We have no idea, but Quick Ben is up to something. And even Quick Ben says the High Mage killed your comrades, which is really interesting. And alludes to like her finding answers and persuades Tattersail to receive this cocoon of whatever bag it is with the hide seams that are closing it. And after that, she witnesses the Black Moranth go for revenge, and they get 1 hour of slaughter, which is really brutal. At this point, guys, if you're still listening, I realize this scene is so epic. This scene is so cool. I cannot do it justice. So I'm just saying that, like, this is just hanging out and having fun. I will never be able to do the epicness and scale and intensity of this scene justice. I'm just a guy talking. But if you guys enjoy it, let me know. Check out all the stuff on my channel. I made like everything, like philosophy videos, reviews, sad scenes in Malazan. I made different video series, put them in playlists. So check that out if you like short videos, 3-minute videos. That's mostly what I do. But these long form videos, I'm just being genuine. This is one take only. I just do whatever I want to do. And I hope you think it's good. And if you do think it's good, please leave feedback. So I'll continue. That was just a short little, wanted to be self-conscious, basically. So the scene ends with Tattersail being very conscious about what's going on, devastation, and the Black Moranth go in to have revenge. They get 1 hour of slaughter. And it seems like the Moranth kind of changed the tides for these battles on this continent, but yeah, at least this decisive battle was definitely like magic decided, if we're gonna say it like that. So that's basically the Siege of Pale, and the final scene or scenes is the aftermath, which is really interesting and a really interesting kind of cliffhanger and good ending. But yeah, my going through this cannot justify the epicness of this scene. But if you're listening to this, guys, you're like me, you already experienced this, you just want to hang out a little bit and be reminded of things. And you know, I spent about 2 hours re-listening to this chapter just so I could give you my take on it now with fresh eyes. Oh, I actually didn't note anything about this, so yeah, that's where I'm at now. So let's see what. Yeah, Sari seems to be very conscious of Tayshrin. She's like, Tayshrin is going to know about the soul shifting you did, and it's clear that Fiddler is uncomfortable with her. She scares Quick Ben, and they're skeptical to Tayshrin. You know, they feel like someone's trying to kill the bridge burners, get rid of them. And yeah, we also know about the Moranth. They get an hour of killing, basically. And yeah, that was it. Closing the war part, basically. That's a depiction of the Black Moranth. I like it. Yap attack. And here's the final scene before we close off this part of it. So we get to know that Tattersail is very old. 217 years of age, from what I remember. Let's fact check this, guys. I'm going to fact check this, because that's what I wrote, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. We have time. We do have time. So let's see who's wrong and who's right. So basically, she's feeling very guilty. I really enjoyed this scene. I can't really find it right now. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I'm going to go with 217 because my notes say that. But she's older than 200 years old, and she uses theosorcery basically. She's humans, but it seems like mages can live longer. She feels guilty. You know, Tattersail feels guilty about shielding herself from instinct, because that's what she did, and that's what Callot helped her with his Mocker Warrant to strengthen her, and she protected herself when she could have protected the soldiers instead. She also feels guilt over Callot's death and minimizing her feelings. It seems like she had old lovers that died as well. I really like this part of that scene. Wasn't mentioned here that she feels a lot of guilt about this, and she feels terrible about it. Okay, 219 years. This guide is right. I just saw it now, so I was wrong. So she feels guilty about it, and all of a sudden there is a birth. Something that hit me on this reread listen, basically, because I always read the physical books, but this is a reread for you guys especially, was how much it felt like a birth. Like she carries this cocoon, and then something is given birth, basically, and it's a marionette. So she opens up the seams of the bag, and it seems like the soul of Hairlock shifted to a marionette that looks like Hairlock, and that's fucking creepy. And he encourages her to read the Deck of Dragons, which she was on her way of reading. And the Deck of Dragons, I'm probably going to do a YouTube short on it, but the Deck of Dragons is kind of like tarot cards, but they're kind of magical, and they're not, it's not like you have cards that are already done, but you kind of use the cards and they can kind of manifest based on what the reading is. That's the impression I got from it. Did you get the same impression? Let me know. But that's the feel I got from it. Like the different cards can give you different impressions and different representations at different times. And what I really liked about this, I'm going to read from my own notes now because I feel like those are more comprehensive than this page at this point. She reads the cards, and I really like that because the way they're shown is really, really awesome. So the first card that is drawn is my favorite, Animander Rake, the Prince of Darkness. His upper body is humanoid, but his lower body is draconian. It's a dragon with black scales. And the upper body also has a huge sword on it. So that's the first card that she draws. The second card that she draws is Upon, the twin jesters of chance, which are also kind of gods. And sees a coin that is spinning, and one side is male, the other side is female. I love these foreshadowings now, looking back at it. For those of us who have read Gardens of the Moon, obviously, if you're watching this, I just love this. Like, this was so cool. And I felt it when I read it the first time. I didn't take it for granted. I felt the bigness and the epicness of it, but I'm starting to understand it now when I've come further. Hairlock wants her to draw the third card, but she doesn't. She refuses. I think she doesn't want to show him, and he gets really angry because I think this divining Deck of Dragon things, it's only a couple of people who can do it. He gets really angry, threatens to kill her, but then he says, like, I need you, and you despise Taishran more than I. So it seems like Hairlock has some kind of agenda to like try to kill or fight Taishran somehow, because he's his rival. I don't know, but it's a thing, it seems. And it seems like they got Tattersail on their side too. Like Taishran has done something terrible. He's betrayed them, basically, it seems like, and they're on the same team now, and she's helping them. But Terrasail realizes at the end of this chapter that she's hearing a spinning coin. She still hears it, but Hairlock can't hear it. So she goes out of the tent, she still hears it. And the chapter ends on that note, and it's really incredible. I really like the ending of that. It's like a whole movie, guys. This chapter should be turned into a movie. I know I might have butchered it, but I just love this chapter, and I loved revisiting this chapter. And I even got some ideas for other videos by just listening to it. That's how good it is. Still. So that was basically it, guys. I hope you enjoyed me just going through the second chapter, The Siege of Pale. And if you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it. May it be good, may it be neutral, may it be not as good. I love getting all kind of feedback, but remember, my channel is very much about one click, one recording, no editing, no bullshit, no redoing, no script. I never use any scripts. I just, for opening my videos, of course, I have a phrase, but I'm really like, I don't have time for that shit, guys. This is my style, this is what I do, and this is what I'll continue doing. So I haven't really thought about this, but I will consider if we have a growing amount of subscribers, I will consider continuing these videos. But I haven't really decided on what that milestone would be. I can get back to you on that, or just let you know once it's done and I feel like I'm ready. But I'm really happy this far. We got to 200 subscribers and even more now since then. I'm super grateful for it. I'm just having a lot of fun, guys, and I love interacting with you guys. So thank you for the support, but also I'm glad you like the work that I do, because just like in Malazan, always an even trade or always an even exchange. You are exchanging your time, your valuable time and enthusiasm for my valuable time and enthusiasm. And I'm glad you think it's worth it if you stayed this long. So I think there's more coming here. I might cover more chapters, maybe one day all the chapters, but I'll get back to you once that is reached. I'm not making any promises, but I think 300 subs, I will do chapter 3. I think so, but I'm not making any promises, but I think so. And the more you guys engage with the channel, check out my stuff, the more that encourages me to continue. So that's basically it for today, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I missed something that you thought was super important during this chapter, or something that you thought about, maybe some philosophy stuff. Any thoughts are welcome as long as they're respectful in the comments. Any feedback is welcome as long as it's respectful in the comments. And it's just fun doing this and sharing the love and sharing this fantastic companion guide, and also at the same time sharing all this fantastic art by the artists that are credited here below. So I made sure to film that part of the screen as well. So we are going to end on my favorite one. Oh, that is probably my favorite artwork for today by Michael Cormack. So that one gets a prize. Guys, thank you for your time today. I'm so glad we've come this far, and this is fun. So I'm just having a good time. So that was it, guys. Guardians of the Moon, Chapter 2, Siege of Pale. You've gone through it with me. I hope you enjoyed the little reminder or refresher. And until next time, yours truly, take care of yourselves, like, comment, subscribe, and have a fantastic day.